Well, you had something to say about the New York elections coming up in what, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's like the first Tuesday in November, whatever.
Yeah. I had an idea about it. I know you have very strong opinions about Mamdani, and so do I. Mamdani.
Yeah.
What's the correct pronunciation of the first name again?
I think it's Zohran, and everybody says Zohran.
Zohran.
Yeah, but it's Zohran.
It's Zohran.
It's Zohran.
Zohran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Why do they say Zohran?
Because that's like an actual name or something. Like people are familiar with that name.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was a movie.
One of the things I wanted to observe, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the election sentiment has shifted totally within just the past couple of days.
Yeah, I know.
Down in New York. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
What is it now?
Now it's get rid of Sliwa.
Yeah, right. Right.
You're
talking about all the people who are against Mamdani,
right?
Trying to figure out how to beat him,
right?
And they need a strategy because basically they're desperate, is what
even
it is.
Up until like a week ago, it was like, okay, before the debates, people, the Republican side would say, okay, Curtis is the Republican candidate, we're going to stick with him.
Yeah, but
the last couple of days, it's just like, no,
I know.
But here's the problem:
from Republicans,
it's his own party.
Yeah.
My sources tell me even the party is going to tell him you got to step out.
Yeah, I mean, I saw what's his name, Katzmandides, or I always mispronounce that guy's name.
Katzmandides.
Yeah. So he was saying he's got to drop out.
He sounds like a cartoon character. You ever hear his
looks
voice?
like a cartoon character.
Oh my god.
Okay, but so he's saying to drop out. Bill Ackman is saying to drop out.
Right.
He's another voice who I don't even know if he's technically Republican, but he's big right now. He's a big donor to just Republicans in general right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so weird though, because I look at the situation and it's like Curtis is the major party candidate.
Right.
Zohran is the major party candidate.
Right.
You have two.
Neither of them are really, staunchly either of those parties.
So, and then you have what would be considered a spoiler candidate, which is Cuomo. He's running for himself right now.
Right.
He's not representing a party.
Right.
And yet everybody's asking the Republican to drop out.
Right.
So Cuomo can win.
Yeah.
In any other circumstance, you look at that and say Cuomo's the spoiler. But all of a sudden, everybody's saying Sliwa is the spoiler.
Right.
You think, well, Sliwa's the one actually representing like Republicans. You would think.
Right.
And Cuomo didn't win his own primary and decided to spoil the election. You would think that's how people would think about it. But instead, they're saying, no, Curtis, you have to drop out.
In a normal world, you would have Cuomo would be the Democratic candidate and Curtis Sliwa would be the Republican candidate or somebody else.
Okay.
It would be Republican against, and then a third party, like someone like Mamdani, who's basically a communist.
Yeah, basically a socialist or a communist.
He would be a minority third. Or fourth.
Right. Right.
That's
but he won.
But he won.
But he won. Okay, here's what I did not know. And when I learned this, my entire perception of politics in New York completely shifted. I now see it as just basically one big farce. Okay. Do you know about the 8-to-1 matching program?
For funds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Where if you grassroots funding, any donations under $250 get matched by the city, by taxpayer money.
Yep.
8 times.
Yep.
So if you for a $10 donation,
the
city pays you $80.
Yeah.
So you get $90 total.
Yeah.
Only 10 of which actually came from a person.
Isn't that crazy?
How is that reasonable? That sounds nuts.
It's been going on for years. So.
And that not that long. I think it's relatively new, actually. But
last few elections, I think.
I think 2018 is probably when.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that. I think
Maybe
it's
not.
pretty new. Okay. I could be wrong. But anyway, so you have candidates who traditionally rely on grassroots donations, and then you have candidates who rely on big donations like Cuomo. Right? He's going to get millions from his PACs and his large donors, and now you have the grassroots people who totally eclipse these big funders because all of a sudden it's like, Zohran raises mostly grassroots and he gets a $35 million war chest because the state pays for the rest. Whereas Cuomo ends up with the least amount of money.
Is it because the state or the city?
I'm sorry, the city. I misspoke.
Yeah.
And the city pays for the rest. Whereas Cuomo at the end raises the least amount of money because the city pays him the least because he gets little grassroots donations.
Right.
So you end up with a totally inverse payment system. I mean, I understand if you want to supplement it, like if you were trying to do it because you want grassroots candidates to be able to have some fighting shot, it's like, all right, we'll match it. We'll match it, equal match. Okay, $10. We'll give you $10, but it's times 8. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of a times 8 program for any sort of charity or donation system of any kind. That's crazy.
I forget what the justification is for that, but I know it exists.
It's a crazy amount.
Crazy, and that's why Eric Adams dropped out. He ran out of money. He wasn't getting any money.
Yeah, I mean he fell from grace really fast.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Actually, I think what happened was basically he got caught with his pants down, and the Biden administration was basically prosecuting him, right?
Yeah, right.
And then Trump came in, and he tried to cuddle up to Trump.
Yeah,
but he's a Democrat, so he loses both sides. It's like your supporters now think you're a fraud, and Republicans are never going to like you. So you're this guy trying to not go to jail, and it's like, okay, you don't even have any convictions of your own, it seems like.
And Trump is not going to step in and support Curtis Sliwa, even though you would think he would support the Republican candidate. Yeah, but he's not going to support him because there's something, I forget what it is, but it goes back years and years. Curtis was always, he never spoke well of Trump.
Yeah,
ever.
Really,
going back decades. And I don't know exactly what that's all about. I'm sure there's something, anybody can look it up.
I know when Trump first ran in like 2015 or something.
Yeah.
Around that time, Curtis started calling him like a manic depressive. He's like, no, he's a crazy man who's going to get in there and go nuts. And he basically hasn't really supported him since.
No.
So, which is dumb. I mean, because at the same time, I realize this strategy has existed for decades in Republican politics. It never gets anybody anywhere, where it's like, okay, well, our country is shifting to become more progressive, so the Republican has to take sort of a centrist stance, like, well, climate change is a real issue, and we're going to use carbon tax credits in order instead of regulating. It's like, okay, so you have those kind of Republicans. That was like the McCain, the Romney style,
right?
But they just lose because they come across as like soft Democrats, and then you have the real Democrats. It's like, well, people are just going to vote for the real Democrats. You have to have somebody come in and just go for the Hail Mary and say, like, basically like Trump did, like, we're closing the border, we're going to build a giant wall, everybody's coming in, and you have to capture the voting base that isn't voting, the voting base that's staying home. Mm-hmm. All these candidates for a while, they keep trying to go for the people that are already voting, but those people have already decided who they're voting for. Right. You have to go for the voting base that isn't showing up at all and think about why they aren't showing up. And that's why Trump won. And nobody in New York is doing that. I mean, only, I think, like 60% of the city votes. You got 40% that's not even voting. It's like, why aren't they voting? Some of them are never going to vote, but you would think there's at least 20% that are staying home because they're just so disillusioned with the whole thing. It's like, I watched the debate, and I'm like, none of these even seem like Republicans. I wouldn't really want to vote for any of these guys.
The debates were not that good, actually.
No, they weren't that good, because Curtis he's just doing his, like, toe the line, I'm a Republican, but I'm a nice guy. Yeah. Really, believe me. It's like, okay, yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. But they also talked about, do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the other thing about New York is we all know that New York knows how to create an election, right? I mean,
what do you mean?
Well, New York is basically democratic.
They know how to.
It's a Democrat. New York is going to vote Democrat all the time.
Okay.
Every time, right? So we all know that they are not going to. We all know that they know how to fix an election. Right?
Oh, right? Okay.
They know how to do that.
You said create an election. I was like, well, yeah, we have to create elections. I thought
not create a process, create an outcome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all know that they know well how to do that.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody at this point, if any Republican is going to win in New York.
No.
It's happened in the past, but man, they've got that fixing down pat.
The thing, and it reminds me, watching Zohran, it reminds me of when we were watching Obama back in 2008 or whatever, because it's like I'm seeing these candidates who are just so uncharismatic and so just out of touch with the sentiment of the people and like what's really going on. And then you have this one guy who's like kind of charismatic, seems like a little bit cooler. Mm-hmm. So he just runs away with it.
Yeah.
Because you got all these guys up there like,
I got to say, he's pretty well polished. He's got some good writers.
He does have good writers. I think he's too well polished. Yeah. I think he's not as charismatic as he seems next to 70-year-old men.
Of course.
Is what it is. And the thing is, he's also a total fake. I know we talked about this already days ago. That smile he does after every question, after every answer he gives, it's like, it's so fake.
You do that very well.
I know. I do it too well. I'm being told that it's a little too close, actually. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so fake. And by the way, his accent changed. He used to have like an Indian accent,
right?
And he got rid of it within the past like 5 or 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people are kind of questioning his authenticity too. So it's like, do you actually have an accent? Are you dropping it because you want to seem more, more like an American? What are you doing here?
I don't know. He doesn't have an accent like Curtis Sliwa has an accent.
No, Curtis Sliwa has a New York accent. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you know
nothing wrong with that?
Did you know he faked some of the Guardian Angel crime stopping?
I had heard some of that, yeah. Back when.
Yeah. In the 70s or 80s?
Yeah, I had heard some of that.
Yeah. And he admitted to it.
Yeah, he's not, listen, he's not an angel.
No. No, but the thing is that is so bad because you do that, right?
Yeah.
And you think, all right, we'll just gain some publicity.
Right.
And, helps with the PR a little bit. But you're lying to people.
Right.
And then here we are, I don't know, 40 years later, really. And it's like, okay, that story comes up and it discredits everything you did. Because somebody who wasn't there during that time, like me, hears that and it's like, okay, so I can't believe any of it.
Yeah, right.
You totally lose credibility. Comes back to bite, which I'm sure he wasn't thinking at the time. And, in 40 years when I run for mayor, they're going to be 20 and 30-year-olds who are not going to trust me because they're going to read a story about how I faked something. It's like, yeah, well, that's what happened.
Well, you mentioned the number of people that actually vote, New York City residents.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I was still a resident of New York City, I would have to go and I would have to cast my vote.
Yeah.
And if I had made a decision not to vote for Sliwa, who that's who I would have voted for.
Right.
But my party says, no, you don't do that. We just can't have a communist in, so we have to put Cuomo in.
We have to vote for Cuomo.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go.
Right.
So I'm wondering what that's going to do to the voting numbers come election day.
You mean, yeah, but he's probably not going to drop. Do you think he is?
Yeah.
You think he is?
Yeah.
I could see it happening. The push is gaining a lot of momentum right now, like a lot. But
even Kazmatidis is saying, well,
I don't think he's a great political mastermind myself.
He's not, but he employs Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah, he's also a huge donor.
And a huge donor.
He has a lot of influence.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
Yeah, right. I mean, is Curtis doing his daily show now?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Is he? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Because he's a radio show host, right?
Yeah, he's got a show. I don't know if it's running right now.
Well, anyway, they also brought up cannabis during the debate.
They did? Okay.
Right. And the three answers were, the question was, have you ever purchased cannabis at a legal cannabis dispensary or something like that, and Cuomo says no. Curtis says, yes, when I was shot back in 1996, 6 times in the chest by the, I don't want to say the wrong name. Gambino? Was it the Gambinos?
No. Is it the Gambino family?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was John Gotti's crew.
Was it Gambino? I'm going to check. I definitely don't want to give the wrong name.
You don't want to get that wrong. They'll come looking for you.
Yeah. So in 1992, the Gambino crime family, on the orders of John Gotti Sr. to his son, John Gotti Jr. tried to kill me. That's what he said.
Right.
That's what he says.
Well, it's true. He did.
Yeah. So did you know that two of them, John Gotti Jr. and Curtis Sliwa, both attended the same wedding a little while ago?
No.
Yeah, they were both in the same room together. And
that's ridiculous.
Says Curtis kept looking at him.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
And the crazy thing is the family, the Gotti family afterward, came out and was Curtis has to grow up and put things behind him. It's did you shoot him in the chest 6 times?
Died.
Because if you did, I don't think you have to tell them to grow up.
Yeah.
I feel like that's misplaced advice for somebody who almost died because of you.
It wasn't just I mean, he tore his whole insides were torn out.
I'm surprised he lived. That's crazy that you even lived through that. But anyway, so they brought up marijuana.
Yeah.
And then of course Mamdani with that ridiculous grin says, yes, I've bought cannabis at a legal dispensary like that. Because they're legal now. They're becoming legal everywhere now. Right.
Yep.
And the White House is considering rescheduling it. From what is it? It's one to now. 3.
To 3, right.
To 3.
Right.
And 1 is like all the big things like heroin is number 1 and all that stuff. And then 3 is like codeine and ketamine and basically things that people aren't that worried about.
Yeah.
Right?
I think 2 is like medicinal use, medical usage.
Yeah, so it's basically the White House is considering making it less illegal is basically what it is. Because I think with 3 you can do like medical research and stuff like that on things and probably even prescribe it in some cases.
Yeah, well, that's a big issue because being able to do medical research opens up the doors to a lot of investment and a lot of money. And companies, pharmaceutical companies getting involved, public companies, companies that are private companies that are selling weed can go public. I mean, a lot of stuff can happen.
Basically, it's motivated by this giant corporate behemoth that has sort of grown behind the marijuana movement. That's what's motivating all this. A study just came out, I think last year, that showed it's actually bad for your heart smoking marijuana. It's a 25%. No, what was it? Sorry, 50% increase in risk of stroke for people who use marijuana versus not. 50% increase.
That's crazy.
25% for a heart attack. And for non-smoking young people like me, basically, it's like almost 100% or 200% increase risk of stroke.
That's crazy.
By using marijuana versus not.
I was going to bring this up later, but you brought up that statistic. Take a look at if you want. Take a look at essentially illustration 70.
Okay.
That one here. Got it?
Let me open this.
This is this is brain aging.
Drivers of brain aging. Okay.
Yeah. Drivers of brain aging.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, you don't want your brain to age.
Do I get more wise?
No, you don't get more wise.
Okay.
If you do, you don't know how to articulate it anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so the number one...
How to articulate it?
How to articulate. They did a study. I don't know if this is the same study. Yeah, I think this is the same study. They had like 62,000 brain scans, MCI scans, from like 30,000 people to see, and they were testing various conditions and everything to see how brains aged.
Okay.
The number one aging factor is schizophrenia. People who are schizophrenic age an average of 4 years ahead of everyone else.
Okay.
Number 2 is cannabis abuse.
Oh, wow. 2.8
years.
2.8 years.
Yeah. Alcohol is a half a year. It's like 6 months.
I don't know what I don't know how to interpret this years thing though. We can now link clinical diagnoses and addictions to premature aging of the brain.
Right.
Cannabis abuse, especially.
So in other words, the age on the brain. I don't know exactly how they measure the age on the brain.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, who knows, plaquing.
4 years. Okay.
And all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So you're talking about heart damage. It damages your brain.
Wow.
Almost as much, well, not quite as schizophrenia is really bad, but like.
Schizophrenia.
I mean, alcohol is not even a year.
Hold on. I'm confused though. So this is aging prediction. So it's not saying that these are things that, like, it's not a list of substances here. Okay.
Right.
We have basically, it looks like things that correlate with your brain aging faster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they found schizophrenia looks like to be
the number one driver,
correlating in a major way.
Mm-hmm.
Cannabis correlates in as the second major way,
right.
And then bipolar, ADHD, and alcohol abuse.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, but I don't understand what 4 years mean. Like is 4 years versus like is 1 year the average person? Is it 4 years to one?
I mean, just as a layperson looking at that, you die 4 years sooner. Or
I'd like to know.
My point is the comparisons. They're comparing these brain aging conditions. What drives them? Schizophrenia is number one.
Yeah.
Which So you say schizophrenia is number one, but schizophrenia is a symptom of something. So cannabis abuse would be causative. Who knows? Causal, sorry.
Okay, so I searched some of the words there to see if I could find where that graphic came from.
Yeah.
And I did find it, and I threw the sort of summary into ChatGPT so it could explain it.
Okay.
And basically what it means is that for the average person, like, it doesn't matter what age they are, if that person has schizophrenia,
right,
their brain looks 4 years older than the average person for their age.
Oh, I see.
And
okay.
So like for me, example, I shouldn't use any particular person as an example. The average, like 30-year-old, let's say, okay, on or off cannabis, their brain looks 2.8 years older on cannabis.
On cannabis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing with the average. So they just took an average, and that's across the entire age spectrum.
Right.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing that would say that makes sense to me. That makes good sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
How they arrive at that. What the most significant thing to me was the comparison of pot to weed, THC, whatever, to cannabis, to alcohol.
To alcohol, yeah. It's actually funny because cannabis, apparently your brain looks 2.8 years older, but if you're an alcoholic, you're younger.
You're younger.
You're young. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, you're not younger. No, you're
just not as old.
Yeah, if you're right. You're not as it's only half a year.
Yeah, right.
It's only half a year.
I've seen some pretty decrepit looking alcoholics, so I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I work with a lot of them.
Right. Right.
Well, the thing is, the thing about weed, cannabis, is that they, I use the term interchangeably: THC, weed, marijuana, pot,
cannabis. Yeah,
cannabis
is kind of like the medical term right now.
I guess
that's like the most appropriate. It's probably the one we can say the most times on YouTube without having a problem. So.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of people talk about the positive aspects of cannabis, right? You know what they talk about? Some of it. Mostly it's medical and health issues.
Yeah.
Right? People with epilepsy, it reduces their seizures. Is one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Another one is, actually, probably the biggest one is nausea for people who have chemo.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
So many people on chemo.
Also, chronic pain for older people, stuff like that.
Chronic pain, yep. You read, it's mostly anecdotal, but you can also look up, there's also a lot of studies on people who have like debilitating pain issues. And they give them a joint, or they give them some cannabis in some form, an edible or how they administer it, right?
Yeah.
And they're able to get their life back.
A vape pen, even.
They use vape pens too. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. THC and vape pens. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So, I mean,
really high dosage in those too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Way more than like a joint.
I wouldn't even know what that is. How many milligrams?
I don't know exactly what it is. I know like percentages. It can go as like high as 90% or whatever.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
Well, I had, I smoked pot in my youth.
Okay.
A few times. I didn't like it. I gave it up. There was one time I had, do you ever hear of a Thai stick?
No.
A Thai stick, we're talking about deleterious effects of these products, right? It's okay. So Thai stick is, I don't even know if anybody listening to this would even know what it is, but they called it a Thai stick. I don't know how they made it. I was at some club or something, and I met these two girls, and they were super hot, okay? And they wanted to know if I wanted to go with them to smoke a Thai stick. I didn't even heard of a Thai stick. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So we got in my car, and they told me where to go. I drove with them. We went to this apartment on top of some restaurant somewhere. It was in, I think it was in New Rochelle, New York. And I just remember this Italian restaurant. It was closed because it was like late at night. And we went into this apartment that was like up above the restaurant. And one of them pulled out this, they called it a Thai stick. And it's like this stick. It looks like it's got weed in it, like super strong weed. And it's wrapped in weed leaves.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from what I understand, it's like dipped in opium oil.
Oh, no.
And then it dries.
Okay.
So it had opium in it.
Okay.
So I didn't know that until after I was smoking it, And from what I understand, you can smoke it like a joint, but you can also chop it up and smoke it in a pipe. So the girl took a pipe and she, chopped it up and put it in, and I smoked it.
Yeah.
And all I remember is taking it once, and boom, that was it. Everything just went black. Everything. Now I don't know it was black because I was out. I was totally blacked out from it. And the next thing I know was I remember just all of a sudden seeing like a chandelier, like a light, just coming on above me, boom, 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 like this, like just the light. It was flickering, and then it got brighter and brighter and brighter, and all of a sudden the room was lit up, and I was sitting in a diner with them and somebody else, some guy, and we're just it's just like coming out of a blackout. It was terrible.
Huh.
It was like that. I never tell you that story.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And it was I totally blacked out. And it was probably the opium or whatever. Opium made from poppy seeds, which is what they make heroin from.
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling good. I'll tell you that much.
Right. Well,
so anyway, that's a drawback, but I don't think that, people who are doing, they're not going to be giving out Thai sticks at CVS anytime soon.
No, but the fact is, just if we take a step back from the context of I guess the cultural context and these numbers and the specifics and why people think it's cool versus not and who's for it, who's against it in general, like from a third person point of view, studying history. Mm-hmm. When has introducing a substance, legalizing it, make it culturally acceptable and loved and even seen as a positive, ever actually helped a country? When does it help a country? It doesn't. It just doesn't help a country.
Right.
It is not a societal benefit. It just never is.
Yeah.
Okay, some sort of substance that you can get addicted to. Okay, whether it's opium or whether it's weed or alcohol too. I mean, what's the joke about the Irish, right? The Irish would have conquered the world if they didn't invent Guinness, something like that.
No. God created beer, God created whiskey so the Irish wouldn't rule the world.
Oh, okay.
Which is true.
There it is. Yeah. So, sure. So, I mean, and you can look at studies. You can look at the studies that do the specific health benefits, like you just mentioned, about, epilepsy and cancer, nausea from chemo, stuff like that. But there are other studies too that look at the actual effect, the practical effects of marijuana, like across populations, like the one that I just mentioned to you about the health effect on your heart,
right.
But the effect on your heart, it's bad for your heart. Okay. It actually it almost doubles your risk for a stroke if you're an otherwise healthy, non-smoking young person. Mm-hmm. But the other things we look at too are like, okay, smokers versus non-smokers. I'm talking about still marijuana, of course. It lowers your work ethic. Studies show that. Okay. It actually makes you, this is going to sound weird, it makes you more perverted.
Makes you perverted?
It has at least a correlated, it is correlated with perversion, or what they call hypersexuality, which is thinking about sex a lot, being unable to control urges, and seeking out sex with different partners.
Okay.
Higher STD rates.
Right.
For smokers versus non-smokers. What was another? I actually had some here. Oh yeah, it impairs your working memory.
Absolutely.
It lowers your cognitive abilities.
It lowers your cognitive abilities, and it changes your life in a negative way.
And of course, if you start early enough, you have IQ point drops from using marijuana.
Right.
So if you were to legalize it, you're not going to stop. You're going to be encouraging kids to do it, even if it's not technically legal for somebody under, I don't even know what age you would do, like when the brain stops developing, 24, 22?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, even if you did that, you're still going to have an increase in use among adolescents.
Right.
I mean, even the past 10 years, it's gone up to I don't know, it's like almost 30% or something of kids use marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
You mentioned
people, at least.
You mentioned the cognition loss, which is for adults and adolescents.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Working memory. Yep.
Working memory. You basically being smart. Well, you said IQ drop. Has that been proven?
It's proven if you start at a younger age, as an adolescent.
You don't. Yeah, right. Okay,
yep.
So you lose those gains, but The thing is, it's not. It's cognition. What is the currency of success in a society? Is mental acuity.
Mental acuity and also work ethic.
Work ethic. So
you have to have those too.
The studies do show that all of those things get reduced.
Yeah.
When you smoke pot, when you're on weed.
Increased apathy, lower motivation.
Right.
Yep.
So it's very hard to look at, let's say, an autistic child whose symptoms are reduced, or someone who has Parkinson's, let's say,
and not empathize. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh my God, here's a guy Michael J. Fox, right? Mm-hmm. You see, pictures of him. He can't control his arms. He's flailing all over the place. That's pretty typical of advanced Parkinson's.
Sure.
And they give them some cannabis and it calms them right down. And what their arm previously had been flailing, and now they barely have a little shake there. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to make that argument. The thing is, does that person need the mental acuity for success in life? Is that an improvement in the quality of life for that person? It's hard to argue against that.
Okay.
But people don't always argue that. Well, they argue that way, but they're really looking at recreational use.
Yeah, because even if you're arguing that, what you're doing is you are increasing the acceptance, and that will spread onto society. Like I said, you're just going to end up with people smoking it because you're told how great it is and how it betters society.
So you mentioned moving from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3.
Yeah.
This green lights the whole process. This green lights the drug for other people who are willing to break the law, are willing to
I think so.
obtain it illegally because it's now, it's used for all these great things.
Yeah.
They confabulate the reasoning.
It lowers the penalties too. So Schedule 3 is you get less penalties than Schedule 1
right.
too.
But the biggest effect,
marijuana might have its own clause in that that's separate.
The biggest deficit, okay, is really what it does to you, to your consciousness, to you spiritually. There's a spiritual, it numbs your consciousness,
right,
and puts you in a state of unawareness, or allows you to remain in a state of unawareness that artificially induced by a drug.
Yeah.
Okay, it gives you feelings of what happens is when you take THC affects the what's the neurotransmitter in the brain for that is not dopamine but GABA. Okay, so GABA is one of the neurotransmitters in the brain, and it lowers GABA, right? So GABA is supposed to modulate dopamine. So everybody knows, dopamine, that's the pleasure center thing, right? So what it does is it allows you to feelings of well-being that you don't deserve, that you haven't earned. Mm-hmm. You think that all is well when maybe you're not well.
Right.
And
that's supposed to be your indicator on if you're going in the right direction or not.
Mm-hmm. So it numbs your conscience. It takes away your anxiety, but anxiety exists for a reason. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you put your hand on a hot stove, on a hot flame, you have an automatic response, you come back. Why? It's pain. Well, the same thing happens spiritually. When you have spiritual pain, you recoil from that and you repent of your sins, or whatever it is that's causing you the anxiety, because the anxiety is caused by there's a spiritual progress that goes through it.
So you're saying anxiety is not itself a negative, it's a sign that something is wrong. It's an indicator to you,
right,
to change something.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, so anxiety is it's seen, I guess it's seen as a mental illness now, right? Anxiety.
Kind of. I mean, it's basically just this negative thing everybody feels and everybody wants to get rid of.
So if you have somebody with Parkinson's, let's say, and they settle down physically, they can start to speak again. Like their head isn't moving all over the place. Well, you haven't cured Parkinson's. You've just removed the symptoms. Right.
But you've eased suffering, which is seen as a huge benefit.
Correct. So the spiritual effect is that if you have anxiety, you reduce the feeling of anxiety, but you're doing it artificially. The reason that you have the anxiety it's actually still there.
Right.
Right. And that's the big danger.
And they will they will prescribe it for anxiety. And
they do.
And things like that. If they do start this medical process with it.
They do. The whole idea is you have to, it's a spiritual thing because resentment causes anxiety. Resentment is playing God.
Okay.
And it makes you anxious. Gives you internal discomfort. And anything that you use that is psychotropic or psychoactive, there are psychoactive behaviors, and there are psychoactive substances, alcohol, drugs, food, sex, behaviors. And one of the drugs that does that is THC, you know? And I only smoked it a couple of times. I also got paranoid when I smoked it. That's why I stopped it.
Yeah.
Well, like I only smoked it like maybe I had that Thai stick that one time and maybe twice before then. I remember at the time of having that Thai stick, I thought, man, I give up. I said I was never going to smoke pot. You know, well, let me try this. Maybe this is different. And it was worse.
Yeah.
It was way worse.
I mean, yeah, there's that one, and there's also CBD.
CBD
is the other chemical that everybody wants to push now. And that's supposed to be like, oh, it doesn't get you high.
Right.
You know, it doesn't get you high, but it does change your mood. It is mood altering.
Which means it's psychotropic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know how it works? Have you heard of?
I don't know how it works. I know that it actually offsets the THC a bit.
It does, actually, because I was looking into this. This is the thing, and people are lobbying Trump to reschedule it so they can do all this research. They really want CBD,
right?
And so he posted this on Truth Social, like a month or two ago, and I wanted to play it for you.
Okay,
here we go.
You can revolutionize senior healthcare. We've all heard about the major systems in our bodies, like the digestive, respiratory, nervous, and cardiovascular systems. But there's one essential system discovered in the 90s that you probably never heard of. It makes all of the other systems work smoothly with each other. Like a conductor, ensuring the different sections of an orchestra all play a beautiful symphony together. This system is called the endocannabinoid system. It has been acknowledged and studied by scientists extensively.
Have you heard of that?
With support from the National Institutes of Health. As we age, the system weakens. As a result, the different systems in our body stop working together smoothly. That's one of the reasons older adults struggle with pain, inflammation, cognitive decline, and other ailments of aging.
So this is going to be a pro-CBD
Doctors often prescribe dangerous
video.
and addictive pharmaceuticals. They also recommend lifestyle remedies, such as exercise, good diet, and stress management. And while all these improve the system, it is only fractionally and over a long time. But here's the game changer. The system can be restored faster using hemp-derived CBD. When the system is restored, pain subsides, sleep is improved, and stress is reduced.
Right.
When the system is restored, disease progression can slow down, and years are added to your life.
So it's supposed to be like, this is good for old people.
Spending good health.
Yeah.
And 20% of seniors are already using CBD today.
20% on CBD today. Did you know that?
Symptoms,
I didn't know
sleep
that.
disorders,
that's ridiculous.
It's
really
many other
high.
Ailments of aging. But doctors are not equipped to provide guidance, and there are no FDA standards for what is already in the market today. Imagine if that were the case for other medications. Older adults are suffering needlessly. Hemp-derived CBD can help them feel better, live longer, and improve their quality of life significantly.
A PricewaterhouseCoopers report estimates annual cost savings for the U.S. nearly $64 billion a year if cannabis is fully integrated into the healthcare system.
So there's a major lobbying push for this.
The 2018 Farm Bill, championed by President Trump, was the first step. Now it's time to educate doctors on the endocannabinoid system, provide Medicare coverage for CBD, and give millions of seniors the support they deserve. You will deliver the most important senior health initiative of the century, cementing your legacy and transforming aging care. Millions everywhere will thank you.
Okay.
So that makes me think, like, is Trump on this stuff? Like, why is he posting a video like that? You know?
Well, because he's for getting it to Schedule 3.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good. Well, that's about cannabis in general. I'm not sure how that changes CBD exactly. Yeah. Maybe that does the regulation stuff that they were talking about there.
Right.
But the thing is, CBD, I looked into how it works and what they're calling the endocannabinoid system, right? Which is they're calling the ECS, I guess.
Okay.
Endocannabinoid system. And the way it seems to work in general is that you have this endocannabinoid called what was it? Anandamide. Have you heard of anandamide?
No, actually not.
Anandamide. It comes from the word ananda, which is Sanskrit for bliss. And they call it the bliss molecule, is
okay.
anandamide. It's an endocannabinoid.
Oh, I see.
And what happens is when you take CBD, CBD breaks down or at least blocks the other molecules that exist that break down the anandamide.
Okay.
So anandamide builds up in your system. So you have an overabundance of this bliss molecule.
Bliss molecule.
So that's how that's one of the ways CBD works.
Right.
Is they prevent it. It prevents the breakdown of your body's own bliss molecule that it's supposed to break down. So what that video was saying is that you have this system that probably stops functioning as well as it used to when you get older, and CBD corrects that by increasing the amount of anandamide in your system.
Okay.
But I'm looking at the things that are wrong with health today, like the foods, like the type of food we're eating, the type of, drugs we're ingesting, the microplastics, all that. And I'm like, well, why shouldn't we focus on correcting those problems to prevent people's systems from shutting down when they get older and functioning the way they're not supposed to?
Yeah.
Instead of treating that with something that pumps up the bliss molecule.
Yeah, right.
Like, so you're in chronic pain because of all these terrible things that you've been ingesting and using and abusing your whole life, and now you're going to treat that with another drug.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing, and then you create dependency doing that too, because people become dependent upon that.
Yeah.
Yep. Because if you have a button that you can press, it gets rid of your pain or creates bliss. I guess.
Right.
I don't know if I don't think CBD is an ecstasy type.
No.
Drug.
No, but it increases the bliss molecule.
Bliss molecule.
Yeah, because it prevents it from breaking down.
The other thing it does, mentioning paranoia, the other thing it does is it modulates the paranoia factor.
Yeah.
So the reason why I couldn't smoke pot, I gave it up. I mean, there are other reasons why I would never now, but the reason why I didn't like it so much is because you have the CBD element, and then you have the THC element. The THC element gets regulated by the CBD.
That's true, yeah.
So I think the CBD molecule more or less has a lot to do with the prefrontal cortex, which is your reasoning, and then the THC activates the other part, the amygdala and other parts of the brain.
Okay.
So you get excited and you get anxious, right? That's your danger.
Yeah.
And then the CBD, says no, everything's fine. Well, what happens is the ratio inside of the weed is not equal.
Right.
So what happens is the CBD runs out quicker, and then you wind up with this anxiety level. It's like, oh, everybody's looking at me. Oh, the cops are coming. Oh,
So you're saying, and that's because the THC levels are so high now.
Because the THC levels are so high, there's not enough.
They've basically bred the plants to be these extreme levels of THC.
Not only that, but they create these concentrates.
Oh yeah,
and these edibles.
Yep.
And that's another thing.
And the vape pens, like I said.
The vape pens. Yep. The ER rooms are like increasingly being, people are going to emergency rooms for psychosis.
Right.
THC-induced psychosis.
Yep.
All over the place.
Yeah,
Panic, hallucination. It is a hallucinogenic.
Yeah. I mean, because you're no longer smoking something that existed back in the 70s,
right,
when people were just growing these plants.
No, it's totally
This is
different.
something that's gone through decades and decades of refinement, and also molecular tampering.
Yeah.
And now you have these, like, in some cases, 90% THC, plants. So it's like, this is like a mutant of some kind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not, the stuff that kids were smoking back then, it's not like twice and 3 and 4 times stronger. It's like 10, 20, 30 times stronger.
Yes.
40 times stronger.
Yeah. Probably up to about 30. Yeah.
Right. So the higher potency, especially with these concentrates,
right,
is crazy. Not only that, but there's a huge increase in kids coming in, like little babies who accidentally ingest it, because you have this stuff is laying around the house, and little kids are being brought into emergency rooms with they're all in panic and whatever else the symptoms are.
So with all these things that are true about,
I think I think it's a weird number, but it's something like in the mid 2000s they would get a few hundred of these a day in the emergency rooms. Then it went up like in the late 2016, 17, I don't know the exact years. They would get like hundreds of them. Now there are 10,000 people a year are getting admitted into emergency rooms with paranoia, hallucinations, panic.
Right. So with all these things being the case, what it does to a society at large, how it decreases your work ethic, it increases hypersexuality, it decreases your working memory, and then with stuff like that, how it can cause psychosis, things like that. And then you mentioned the spiritual aspect of not being in the present moment, not being able to, not dealing with your anxiety the right way, not facing resentments, forgiving, things like that. You're turning away from spirituality and going for a drug solution to your to the problems you're feeling, to the emotional problems. All those things being true, why on earth is it being pushed like it's the coolest thing ever that we all need?
Well,
and
that's
it's been missing from all our lives.
That's the thing that concerns me.
Why? So I looked into it, and there's this. I hinted about it toward it at the beginning. There's this big, just like existed for tobacco, just like existed for alcohol. There's this sort of like, I don't know if you want to call it like big marijuana or big weed or whatever. I don't know what they're going to call it, but this giant corporate infrastructure has formed that has millions and millions of dollars behind it for lobbying the politicians, running the PR campaigns, doing all this to make it seem cool. That's what they're doing. They're making it seem cool, even though if you were just step back out of the context of our own situation, it's like, well, anything like this isn't cool. It's like for losers, it basically is what it is. And there are exceptions to the rule. Sorry, I like Joe Rogan. I don't like that he smokes weed all the time. But he's the exception. Okay, most marijuana users are not going to jump out of bed and do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 bodyweight squats before their workout in the morning. Right. Okay, that's what Joe Rogan does. Yeah. So you can't look at him. He's a very special case where I'm not saying it's good for him. I think it's bad for him. But you can't say this will be our country. Joe Rogan's fine, so we're going to be fine too. Yeah. He's a different type of person. Yeah. He's a very special breed of human. Right. That's not going to be the average weed smoker in our country. Yeah. And it isn't now. So I think it's a bad thing. But so I looked at this article from the Free Press the other day where they interviewed Alex Bruzewicz, I think is his name, or Bruzewicz. He's one of Trump's top guys. He's young too. I think he's either 30 or in his late 20s or something like that. So he's like one of these wunderkind type political strategists. Wunderkind. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Wunderkind. And he's like, oh, it's the political. So they quoted him saying it's the politically strategic thing to do. It's politically savvy, and there are all these great uses for it or something. He wasn't lauding it, but also he wasn't really condemning it. He was sort of saying that it's the right move. But they include in the article that his lobbying firm, or sorry, his political strategy firm was paid $300,000 from pro marijuana groups. Right. So
he's a spokesman for them.
So he's getting money. He's getting money. Yeah. And he says, whatever Trump decides, I'm behind him 100%. It's the right decision. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, you're being paid tons of money to softly be pro. Like, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is. And I'm just not behind it. I think it's a terrible idea long term.
It just gives the idea that this is all doctor approved and medicine approves it, therefore I can do it.
They're lumping it in with this sort of health push that's been happening. It's very smart where it's like, okay, we're going back to low carb, high fat diet, animal fats, natural fats. What are some of the other things? Working out is good for you, keeps your testosterone levels up, get sunlight in the morning, sunlight in the evening, sleep, make sure you sleep. So they're doing all these things that kind of have been eschewed in favor of pharmacology, in favor of drugs. And they're trying to slip marijuana in to say, oh, but this is actually the one drug that is good for you, that actually helps. They're trying to slip it in with all this sort of like, back to basics, MAHA, Make America Healthy Again thing. Yeah. They're trying to include marijuana in that. Yeah, right. It doesn't belong.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't belong.
It doesn't.
And there's millions of dollars behind it too.
Well, the thing is, what happens to a society, what happens to a country who anesthetizes their consciousness, and actually their own conscience with a drug?
How about China on opium?
In terms of, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And or even a lot of the extinct civilizations.
Yeah.
Right. The Toltecs, the Mayans, they were all into that stuff.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of stuff.
What happens to a society that goes that way? They turn against God.
Normalizing drug use.
But it's not the drug use. It is the separation from God that they've engaged in first.
Okay.
And then the drug becomes the anesthetic to get rid of the pain of that. Yep. Germany. What about Germany in the 30s and the 40s?
Right, and that's true, but it can also go reverse, because somebody who is getting high is, everybody's going to have stress, everybody's going to feel resentment, everybody's going to judge, and then you have to recognize it, forgive,
right,
return to God, and become whole that way.
That
right?
is correct.
That's how to do it.
That is
you
correct.
Can't do it if you're high all the time.
No, you can't.
So if you're born into an environment where getting high is normal, if you're born into a home that's filled with weed smoke and you're just secondhand high from, I don't know, 2-3 years old upward, what chance do you have? I mean,
you
seriously.
don't, because getting high is the actual process of turning away from God.
So what I'm saying is, it's not just that. I know. What I'm saying is, well, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not just having this problem and then seeking out the solution. I'm saying the solution itself is going to prevent people from going through that growth who might not have even been that bad to begin with, but they're put in an environment where it gives them no chance of success.
Right.
So, and I mentioned China. China is, I don't know if you know this about China. Maine, which is only a few states away.
Yeah.
Maine has tons of illegal Chinese-run marijuana farms. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes. Because I think it's legal there, marijuana in general.
Yeah.
I don't know to what degree or what exactly the rules are. But Chinese companies have come in. They buy up houses, like domestic houses in neighborhoods.
Right.
And they secretly convert them into Chinese marijuana grows, where they
like greenhouses.
Yep, the whole thing. They do it all.
Right.
Where they grow it there and then ship it off, and it gets sold throughout the United States. And there are journalists who have done this. I forget. There's one in particular who's doing a good job with this. Who he's gone around interviewing these people, these families who live in the neighborhoods, and say, "Did you know you have an illegal Chinese marijuana grow next door?" And they go, "Oh my God, nobody's doing anything about it. We don't know what to do." They say it's usually the same story. I'm retelling the journalist's own story. Basically, it's like Chinese family knocked on the door around 2020, 2021. They said, "We're moving in. We've moved to America. We're starting a new life here. We're proud to be here. Just want to say hello, hi." They never see that family again. Trucks come in and out throughout the night. They see 10, 20 different people, all Chinese, coming in and out all the time. Loud noises, weird things happening. Shipments seem to be coming in and out.
Okay, so why don't they shut it down?
They don't shut it down.
But it's illegal.
The state government won't even acknowledge that it's happening.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They won't. And sometimes they bust them, and then a new one just pops back up like the next town over.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Right.
That's what's happening. So and marijuana is illegal in China. You cannot smoke marijuana in China. It's illegal. So it's illegal in China, and yet you have these illegal Chinese companies coming here to grow and sell it. Mm-hmm. So that should tell you, if you know anything, if you care at all about, world politics, whether marijuana is good or bad for a country, think, okay, China's outlawed it there, and they're sending it here.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's not so good for us.
No, it's not
you know what I mean?
Well, that helps support the whole transition of the country, by having these states that are supporting these things. The state is supporting that.
What do you mean? What transition to what?
Well, the transition that we're talking about society becoming anesthetized.
Oh. Yeah, of course. I mean, okay, I'll just say it outright. China is trying to blunt us.
Yeah, right.
With chemicals. And they're sending marijuana here to do it.
Right.
While they're keeping it off their own streets.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
To talk about marijuana in the streets. Remember, I think didn't we go to New York one time, not that long ago? And the whole...
Yeah, we were in Manhattan.
Walking, I think we were going from Penn Station. We were going to the bank down there.
Yeah.
You walk through the streets. Everybody knows this. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody talks about it. But the point I want to make is the smell.
Yep.
The smell just gets into you, and that affects you the same way it's as if you're smoking it. So, you're not getting high.
Right.
No, you don't feel high. But if those molecules are traveling into your nostrils,
right,
and Aside that, it smells bad. Some people think it smells good.
It is a public nuisance. That's the other major thing.
But I don't want my kids or my family or myself getting those molecules into the olfactory, up the nerve, into the brain, and affecting, having that psychoactive effect on me, even if it's in a minuscule way. So no one has the right to do that to anybody else. But if they start normalizing this, which they have to quite some degree already, that is exactly what happens.
And that's the thing. Like if somebody's drunk in their own home, let's say a neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay. If somebody's high in their home, you know they're high because your house begins to fill with the smell of their weed.
It has happened.
It is a total public nuisance.
Yeah.
That's the other debate that I think is just as legitimate as these other ones, is that it's a public nuisance. You can't make the whole environment around you stink.
Right.
You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to go out that way. You can't go out that way. And that is what New York smelled like. It smelled like piss and weed. Like every street. That's just what it smelled like in New York.
I know.
So that's New York City now.
Everybody's walking around anesthetized.
And now they're about to elect Manhattan leading the way, about to elect Mamdani
I hope not.
mayor.
I hope not. We'll see what happens. The election's
I don't know.
Not long from now, a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens.
Okay, is that it for now?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.